All right, the Daily Drive again presented by Nissan. Don't let amazing offers pass you by at the Nissan Thrill of the Drive event. Shop nissanusa.com. Peter King wrote his Monday morning column on NBCSports.com. I think Robert Kraft, who's 81, entering his 30th year of Patriots ownership, is not in this to rebuild deliberately. He has to be looking at the dung show on the Patriots offensive staff and wondering why Belichick left the offense so wanting this year. He says, I can't see anything weird happening this year, but I have my antenna up about the Patriots for 2023. Here's Mike Florio on Tom Curran's Patriots Talk podcast with similar overtones.
Look, I think the way it would happen is Bill Belichick would begin to sense that they don't want him there anymore, and he would start looking at other opportunities, and they would let him go. I think that's how the end would come, because there's going to be another team out there. If he still wants to keep coaching, there's going to be another team out there that would take him in a heartbeat, that would pay him what he's making, that would give up a first-round pick plus to get him. So I don't think you ever have to fire Bill Belichick. You just have to make it known that Bill Belichick's available for one of these other teams. Wow.
All right, Lou, where do you think we are in terms of the coaching staff through the rest of the year? Do you think jobs are on the line, maybe including Bill's?
Yeah, and I just think too many people are talking about it. And, you know, quite frankly, I've never really felt like that in the past. But when you look at the last 3 years, and I've said this before, it's like, okay, moving on from Bill, and it's like, well, what are you afraid of? Finding somebody that struggles in the draft or spends $150 million on mediocre talent or hires coaches that aren't that good or, you know, now starts maybe messing with clock management within a game? Like, you look around and you're like, and gives you a 500 product. Yeah, that's what you have. Is that what we're afraid of moving on to? So I think he said to blame me for all this stuff. I'm the head coach. Yeah. So when you look at it right now, I put it on him.
And I'll just, we won't put any quote boards, but Bedard posted something today after talking to sources, and I'll just there's chatter. I mean, like, the heat's on. Like, the natives are restless. Yeah. Okay, let's just put it to you like that. Out in Foxborough, and Bill is not immune to it. So it's a 5-second summation.
Yeah, and nobody's immune to it, to being fired in NFL. I wonder if Robert Kraft would do it, or what his reasons would be for doing it. See, the Peter King quote and the comment from Mike Florio are actually in conflict. And I'll explain why. King says Robert Kraft doesn't want to rebuild at 81 years old. Well, if you don't want to rebuild and you fire Bill Belichick, guess what you're probably going to do? You're going to rebuild. Mm-hmm. You're not going to just come in. Okay, so is there a coach out there who can come into this and do what Belichick does to other organizations, old Belichick? He comes in, he makes you better immediately. Who's that guy? Is it like who's going to come in and say, "Oh, I got it. I'll take the players on this roster, and we're going to win 12 games."
I don't know. I don't know who the guy is, and I really don't even like that.
It doesn't exist.
No, but I'm just saying, like, we've seen it many, many times. I thought Brian Flores was a great coach. Okay, right. Then I'm seeing what Mike McDaniels is doing with Tua Tagovailoa, and I'm sitting there going, okay, I didn't know who the hell Mike McDaniel was.
But he also didn't take the same roster. So, so it depends on what Robert Kraft wants. Okay?
No, what if you have a coach who brings in a real offensive coordinator who's got a different philosophy, and actually says, you know what, we need to get our young quarterback actually a weapon, because I don't think Bill would ever do that.
Okay, well, now we're talking. So, maybe he just wants to move on from him, and that's fine. If he wants to move on, he could just be tired of it. Maybe it's not about rebuilding at all. Maybe he's just tired of Bill Belichick. If you do that, that's cool. Belichick will be out there. Belichick can still coach, and you're not guaranteed to get somebody better. That's not a reason to hold on to him. I think the bigger issue, I think we've really got to get down to it, is what does Robert Kraft want?
Robert?
What's that?
I'm sure it's Robert.
Well, I mean, I'm just going off of the King quote. I'm not sure of anything.
I think Jonathan might be a little more cold-blooded.
Okay, what does Jonathan want? Does Jonathan want to move on? Does Jonathan want a new voice?
Well, they probably want value. So Bill Belichick is the highest paid coach in all of sports by a big, big gap, okay? And so they probably want from him what they want from their players, value. And this is a guy that convinced them to let Brady go, screwed up drafts, overspent their free agent money, did not get bang for their buck, did not get value on their spending, has set back the most valuable asset, which is now Mac Jones. Okay, Mac Jones.
I'd say you have value, though.
Mac Jones has regressed because of the moves that Bill Belichick has made. And so I think the Krafts just probably want value on what they're paying Bill Belichick.
I'd say you still have value because is he not a top 5 coach in football?
Yeah, but
but
there's a lot more good coaches now than were like 5 or 10 years ago.
But let's not dance. Is he top 5 or not?
Yes, but he's making 30% more than the next guy.
So what? He's top 5. He's making 30% more based on.
And I made that math up. I don't know, whatever it is.
He's making a lot more money than a lot of guys, but I think the real issue is
he's not
here,
worth it.
The real issue here is I think he is.
He's not
now,
worth it.
If they think he's not worth it, the problem is, and I don't know if they had this conversation or not. You got to have this conversation because you're in a position that nobody else is in. Nobody else can tell you, Lou, hey, this is what you do. After you win 6 Super Bowls in 20 years, this is how you keep it going, or this is how you rebuild. Nobody can tell you how to have that conversation because it's never happened before.
Well, you don't do this.
But what are their expectations? So what would be acceptable? Tell me what it looks like.
It's not this.
Doesn't have to look better. You feel good about
I
it.
don't have time to tell you what. I know that.
Yeah.
Mike,
This is
making
bad.
Matt Patricia your offensive coordinator and doing that to Mac Jones.
So is Patricia?
I know that's
is that
not it.
fireable? So
Yes,
fire
it's
him,
fireable,
So
yes.
fire him for Patricia then.
You did. You set your most valuable asset back.
You just
like Mac. You're going to play out this year, and you're still not going to know. You're still not going to know if this guy is the answer or not because of what Bill put him through with these coaches.
It was the
You
most
still don't
important
know.
thing they had, and they set him back by his decisions. And now you're being laughed at. You're being laughed at by people we should be laughing at. Vance Joseph, the defensive coordinator for the Arizona Cardinals, was talking about your offense today, and listen to him.
I see an offense that's running the football well. You know, it's a very conservative pass game. You know, lots of screens, all kind of screens. It's like a defensive guy's calling offense. You know, it's how a defensive guy will call offensive plays, right?
Pretty good line, though.
So now we're getting laughed at.
Yeah.
That's a good line.
I mean, he's not wrong.
No, he's
that's
absolutely
funny.
not wrong. And remember this whole thing they tried to sell you on, like defensive coordinator being off? It's great. Yeah, it's so great that nobody else in the league is doing. Now Vance Joseph's laughing at you. Meanwhile, you're getting pulled off Sunday Night Football because nobody wants to watch you play.
Yeah, look, it's a great line from Vance Joseph. Very funny. He gets the first laugh. Now, does he get the last one? Because
Think he's scared of that offense?
No, I'm saying, but you don't have to be scared of him. Will the Patriots do anything against his defense, which is not very good, hasn't put up numbers. If they don't put up numbers against the Cardinals, then, yeah, he should keep laughing. But I think it's probably going to be similar to Minnesota. Remember after the Jets game, like, oh, the Patriots can't score, so it's going to look different against Minnesota. It did. They lost, but they had more offense. I think the same thing is going to happen against the Cardinals. They'll have no problems moving the ball against Arizona.